Greetings YouTube. In this video we'll be looking at my latest addition here, an Atlas Classic RS11. So let's check it out. Now the RS11 is one of my favorite locomotives. Normally I do not model New York Central because I model the Pacific Northwest, but I did recently at a train show get a bunch of NYC boxcars. So this is going to be pulling those boxcars. And I couldn't resist an RS11. Almost looks like it's been weathered a little bit. Or just got dirty somehow. Yeah, it's gonna need some cleaning up. There's hairs all over it. Okay, we'll work on that and see what else came in the box here. It looks like we have these AccuMate couplers. Won't be using those. Those back. And some directions here. Okay, so I managed to get whatever had been spilled on here off with a little soapy water and a toothbrush. Now it seems to be much better. The pet hair situation is an ongoing issue. I did get quite a bit of it off, but it's still, I still keep finding more hair everywhere. So I think the next thing to do is test how well it runs just on DC. And these wheels need to be cleaned pretty badly. They're fairly dirty, so. Okay, I'll call that good. Now to take these apart, if I remember correctly, you have to take the couplers off first. So let's get to that. Just 2 screws. I'll be replacing these out anyway, so on the RS11s, different railroads ran these different ways. Some had this be forward and some had this be forward, but according to this, there's a little F right there, so I'm assuming, and the guys are facing that way. Yeah, so I'm assuming that this one is going to be short cab forward. And now I think this will just come off. Or not. Okay, now it's all coming back to me. These are pretty tricky to get the top off. You have to deal with handrails here. So some of these handrails need to be disconnected. Am I getting this on camera here? Yeah, some of these handrails are going to have to get disconnected, like this one and this one. And on the front, that one, and these 2 here. Oh, I just broke that one. Doggone it. That's what super glue's for. Whew, okay, so the snaps that hold this on, there are two at the back here, and you basically squeeze in right there to get these two off. And then these two at the front here, you just kind of scoot it forward and they unlatch. And then there is the whole situation with the handrails like I showed you. Okay, so that's not particularly fun. Okay, I am going to go ahead and disassemble this some more just to make sure that just so I can clean everything and make sure it's completely lubricated. Hopefully, if you get a new one, you don't have to do this, but just so you know how it comes apart. These two weights right here, each held on by two screws, and then these light bulbs just kind of sit in there. Okay, and now this top here of the worm just pries off. Here, just to make things simpler, I'm going to go ahead and take this walkway off there so I don't have to worry about one more thing I don't have to worry about breaking while I got this all. Okay. There is some grease in there. I'm just going to add a little bit of light oil. So I'm just going to use a little bit of 108 oil, not too much, just let that. Okay, that should work its way down into the rest of the gear mechanism. So we'll put this back on. Okay, now we'll do the back here. This time I think I'm just going to add a little grease or a little oil in the top here. I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. I don't think that's necessary. I do need to get more pet hair. Okay, that is running really well, nice and smooth, as expected. I am just going to add just a tiny amount more oil right here on this end bushing and on this side. And I think I'm going to barely get these shafts right down in here. And then there. Hopefully I didn't overdo it there. Okay, now I'm just going to drop these weights back on, making sure not to pinch the wires here. You do want to make sure these wires stay nice and packed down in here, otherwise you'll have issues trying to put the shell back on. And the light bulb goes like so. Compact. Okay, let's DCC this thing. Okay, so fortunately I do have a decoder. We'll be using the 166PS. It's got the little short plug to go here. Okay, so for the install, we need to remove this dummy plug here. Like that. Connect this to this. It's keyed If you look closely, it won't go that way. It has to go this way. As such. Now, if you look on here, the triangle thing points to the orange, which is one of them. I think that's the motor plus. So this will go like that. We have two extras here. And that, I hope, is going to fit right here. We'll see. I don't know if hope that doesn't stick up too far. Okay, I can already tell that's not going to work because this part of the cab sticks down too far, and that's going to hit right here. So this is going to have to be like that for it to work. Okay, so I used some tape to hold this down and then kind of just pack these wires in here. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue. If it is, we'll have to readdress that later, and these do not. Don't make me get out the hot glue gun here. Okay, pack these wires in like that. Okay, so now onto the program. Okay, so I've got it all set up here on the programming track, and I'm going to hit identify, and hopefully we'll get... I always do it on the programming track to make sure everything's working right before I ever put it on the power track. So now we'll go ahead and program it up, and then we'll try it downstairs. Okay, now we're on the power track. So let's try headlight. That looks like forward. And reverse. Very good. They look brighter on camera than they do in real life. Let's try some speed here. Speed step 10. Speed step 1, we're not moving. 2, still nothing. 3. Okay, so I need to up the start voltage a little bit. Okay, so I have changed the start voltage from the start volt CV from 1 to 4. We'll see what that does. Now this is speed step 1. There we go. We'll probably turn that down a little bit. Let's try 3. Okay, that is, the CV is now set to 2. And if you look really close, it is just barely moving. It's a little notchy though. Alright, so I'm going to leave that CV set to 2. And I think it works. So I'll go put the shell back on next. Okay, now that it works, let's get everything put back together. And I did, off camera, take a old toothbrush and some soap and get whatever the nasty stuff was cleaned off of this. And I will eventually, I will go in and put in classification lights. I'll put on a warning beacon and do the number board separate from the headlights. However, I don't have any more lenses and I don't have any more warning beacons, so that's going to have to be subject for another time. So this goes on, and I did mark the short hood and the long hood because they are different. So this goes on here. As such, and now we can put the couplers on. I will be using a KD 148 coupler. Okay, now that we've got the couplers on, it's time for the cab. I'll show you again how this snaps on. So these latches here need to hook in and push back, and then these latches at the back just snap on. So let's see if we can make that happen. And you got to be super careful of the handrails here. Well, I think that's done it. Yep. Okay. Now the handrails need to get put back in place very carefully. Fortunately, these are nice and flexible. You can actually... This is definitely the least fun part of doing this. These handrails. Okay, that looks pretty good on that side. Now for this side. Okay, now this one here that had the little accident is going to require a touch of super glue, but that's okay. That's what super glue's for. Ha! Good as new. Okay, so the plan here is for 8011 to pull the NYC boxcars, which I got those at a train show recently as a set. And currently they're being pulled by Santa Fe 315, which is one of my favorite locomotives. I got another plan for this, though. We'll see that at the very end of the video if you stick around. Okay, now I promised the return of the yellow bonnet. So I just happen to have some of these Intermountain steel side reefer cars, and they're not doing me any good here in the box and storage, so let's get those out. Okay, here they are, all out of the box and on the track. And I've got to say, the level of details on these things is amazing. Really nice. Let's see how they run. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.